Are we really as good as we think we are? Leader Fan Radio Network.
Okay.
And KFAN.com. 1 minute and 56 seconds past 3 Central Standard Time. Welcome back. It is a Wednesday edition of the afternoon aardvark on a rather wintry. Man, it's been a series of wintry days here in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. In fact, today during the program, we will name the first Nanne of the 2025-26 season. And that is in addition to an outstanding array of guests that will include Tuesday regular Lou Nanne today at 3:30. Glenn Mason, Wednesday regular on Wednesday, in studio at 4:02. And the inimitable Pat Kessler, scheduled for 5:15. He reminded us, he made sure to remind us again today of just how philanthropic he is by some of the duties that he's involved with.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing how much he gives.
How does he live with himself? I wonder sometimes. It's just got to be, there's so much giving there. You wonder at some point whether he is in awe of himself. And I don't
wonder that.
The answer is he probably is in awe of himself.
He is in awe of himself.
Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line has been rebooted, 646-86. Ooh, there's Phillip Rivers. He doesn't look too ponderous, does he?
No, he looks pretty good, I think.
I don't think he looks like he's 44. How old? I grew up on football in the 60s, as you know. And there was a place kicker named George Blanda, who also, every once in a while, due to either injury or just we got to get a spark going, would be inserted into the Oakland Raiders starting lineup as a quarterback. Well, not necessarily start, but would get in the game later. How old at his oldest was George Blanda when he played the quarterback position?
He was, it appears, to be 48 years old. 26 season career. The only non-kicker, even though he was a kicker, to play in 4 different decades.
That's impressive.
Pretty good run.
Does that indicate that he played a game at quarterback at 48? That's the question.
That's what I'll have to do a little bit deeper of a dive.
I thought, in my mind's eye, was the oldest to ever play the position in the National Football League. Brady, how old was Brady when he wrapped it up? 44?
I think he was a little older, but maybe not.
Brady was older than 44?
I thought he was, maybe, but
okay.
I'll look.
Well, we'll find out. But we will get to the Nanne naming. Really, the opening to the show is related to a certain extent to the snow event.
He retired at 45, which was his stated goal at one point.
45, okay. Yep. 45. So he won the bowl at 44, maybe. Is what it would be.
Probably right.
And then 45, because he didn't win it his last year, right?
I believe so.
I don't think they made the playoffs that year.
Right.
Yeah, George, you can look up the old video of George Blanda, place kicker and quarterback, who I think probably could have played till he was 50. And there may be something, there may be this new generation, there may be a quarterback or two that ends up staying that long. Maybe J.J. McCarthy.
That's true.
Will end up being the first 50-year-old quarterback in the National Football League. And one thing he'll be good at? Progressions.
Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Pure progressions.
Oh, pure progressions.
Pure progression.
That's important.
Anybody can be good at progressions.
Yeah, it's pure progressions.
Progressions.
The Jackals are just aroused by all of it.
It's unbelievable, these guys.
It's the most astounding thing I've ever seen and heard of, and everybody's getting in on it. And by the way, not everybody agrees, including your guy. Who's the former Rams quarterback who used to kill us?
Kurt Warner.
Kurt Warner is not, he ain't all in.
No, he's not.
On this whole philosophy. So maybe we'll get into that a little bit later in the program.
Good luck to you, by the way, about 5:15 because I'll be gone.
Oh, you'll be gone. That's right.
But you've hurt Kessler's feelings. We've hurt Kessler's feelings.
Why?
You just texted both of us.
What did he say?
I mean, we said he was in awe of himself. I'm sure he didn't like that.
Wow.
But so good luck to you.
Not my point. Okay. He's not hurt at all. He's pretending to be hurt. He can't be hurt.
There's got to be a Venn diagram. I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to say this. The most self-absorbed / insincere /
Well, now you're going to get another text from him.
But there's got to be a Venn diagram of self-absorbed, insincere, and thin-skinned And if you're all of those things, the middle of the Venn diagram just says TV people. Would that be the Holy Trinity? Self-absorbed.
Yeah, it would be.
Thin-skinned.
Yeah.
And then I can't even remember, insincere.
Insincere, yeah. Those are three big ones.
Like you go to Workday
all in
or
capital letters,
careers.com and you say, I want to be a TV person.
Those are all big.
Those are job requirements.
Are we as good as we think we are when it comes to cleaning up the slop, cleaning up after the tsunami, clearing the roads, salting the roads, dealing with traffic snarls best we can because we think we've got the greatest experience with it. We've got the greatest equipment with it to the point where we're going to again name our snowplows again this year. That contest just began.
It sure did.
Close circuit to Lori Fisher. I'm sure she's already put a bunch of suggestions in. Or are we slipping? Or are we prisoner to the fact that when Mother Nature really wants to be shall we say, difficult, especially in terms of timing when the snow hits, that there's only so much that even a community that prides itself on always being able to handle significant snow events would like to think they are. So let me know what you think about that, because we got a lot of people who drive for a living.
Sure.
Who probably are the ones who are best qualified to answer the question, especially if you've done it for a long time. Because I know we flex on this and we mock and ridicule, southern towns that basically become paralyzed when there's a half an inch of snow, and we chuckle about it.
I remember being in Dallas for that Super Bowl.
Right.
The Packers Steelers. It was a mess.
City they're in. They don't have any idea what to do. And we're so good at it. We've got it down to an utter science. And we can turn a significant snow event into almost immediate travel without all that much difficulty. Are we that good? I'm not here, believe it or not, to judge on this one. I'm not here to conclude. I'm asking the question. I have my own suspicions, but I don't want to, what's the word for that? Taint the jury?
Prejudice the jury.
Prejudice the jury. I want individuals to come at it with, with an open mind on that particular issue, because we're in a stretch where we're having just enough significant snow that there are snarls, there are problems, there are difficulties. I mean, there's maybe an ancillary question related to this too, which is, and I think we've talked about this part of it before. Have we jumped the shark, to use that overused expression, when it comes to how quickly we shut stuff down, we close things, and even if they're not officially closed down, has the percentage of, once upon a time, I'm going to go out on a limb, and this is not scientific. I'm going to say when I got here, actually approaching winter, 1986, that the percentage of Minnesotans who lived in the metropolitan area who would ever reach a point in, let's say, a 4 or 5 inch snowfall that they said, I'm defeated. I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
I'm not leaving the house or apartment or condo, whatever it is. I'm not moving. And if my kid's got someplace to go, he or she's going to miss it. I'm not taking them. Sorry, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say, when I got here, the percentage of adults who took that approach in, again, not a blizzard, but a 4 or 5 inch snowfall was about 5 to 10%. I now believe, over the almost 40 years I've been here, I think the percentage is close to 50%. Now, does that mean we're softer? We can have that argument. Does that mean we're safer? We're more cautious? We're not trying to prove anything, or we're tough Minnesotans? But I believe, is that not, do those percentages, does 50% sound high to you?
No, it doesn't, because I do think we have a quicker trigger finger, a Tim Cheetah ejection.
Yeah, no question.
When it comes to things getting canceled, for sure. And now it's preemptively canceled, right? Because we've all got these radars and Dopplers, and we listen to the projections, and then you say, by the way, Thursday's not looking good. We're going to bang out a couple of your activities and just get ahead of it. I don't ever remember that happening. Back in the day.
No.
Preemptively canceling it a day or two in advance or even in the morning. Hey, it's not looking good. We're not doing it.
Do you know what part of the reason for that is, in my opinion? Is that there was not the same feeling that organizations feel pressured by today. That
I agree.
What if we don't, and one bad thing happens, the second guessers are going to destroy us.
I agree with that.
So let's just cut out the tension. We're shutting it down. And I think back in that day, 40 years ago, there wouldn't be that same inclination to say, how dare you not save me from myself by shutting everything down?
The worst part about the shutdown stuff now is when you don't hear that it's shut down until you're already there.
Well, yeah, that's
or you're already like halfway there.
Yes.
And then you get the call or the text and say, hey, we just got the group me message. Sports Engine just updated and
you're already there.
We can't shovel the snow off the rink fast enough, so hockey's going to be canceled.
All right, there's an overwhelming number of texts that are coming in. So let's stay on schedule. We'll come back and we will read from many of them. We'll keep this going today. We will name the Snownomi today. Bottom of the hour, Luigi on your favorite hockey team.
Oh.
Mike in Fergus Falls. Oh, no doubt. I totally agree. You guys are softer now. That seems to be a shot.
Oh, yeah.
At those of us
the
in
Citydiots.
the soft... The Citydiots.
We're the Citydiots. Yeah, I got you.
Exactly right. Some Snownomi submissions are coming in. I appreciate that. We will get to it eventually. Hockey never cancels for anything. For my son's squirt tournament in Fargo, a 4-hour drive ended up being a 6.5 hour drive in a blizzard. Nothing was canceled.
Hockey very rarely does get canceled. I can confirm that.
Amazon driver here, North Metro. My 2 cents. I need to see more people promptly clean up their driveways and walkways. Please, for our sake, folks, tend to your driveways quickly before it compacts and ices over.
Good point.
It makes sense.
This
now,
season,
some people maybe can't get out and around as easily as others. That could be part of it. But, yeah, I could see where that could be a difficulty. Remote work is so much more prevalent now. Less people risking getting into office on snow days because they don't want to miss a day of work. Everyone is just okay working from home now. That's a great point, too. That's part of it.
Yeah.
People are used to, I'm working from home anyway. What the hell's the difference? Dan, this is from Mo out of Wrigleyville in the greater Chicago area. I was actually praising Minnesota when it comes to plowing the streets and how much I missed the effort of snow emergency after big storms. Chicago got a foot of snow a couple weeks ago. And since I've gotten several more rounds of snow, I am yet to see a snowplow. And neighborhood streets are a mess. They do a better job of cleaning streets in the summer than winter. Well, if you go deep enough into Chicago political history, one of the great Chicago blizzards cost the incumbent mayor his job. I want to say it was Mike Bolandic, and a woman named Jane Byrne challenged him, and basically that was a big part of her plank, was how bad a job the city had done handling the blizzard, the snowstorm.
The blizzard of 1979.
Is that the one?
Cost Michael Bolandic.
Bolandic, yeah, that was it. Yeah.
ChicagoMagazine.com. A perfect storm of weather, clout, and PR doomed the incumbent in his primary battle against Jane Byrne. Good memory.
I actually think I was visiting my parents in Elk Grove, and I think I got caught up in it for a day or two as well. People are always looking for a reason to stay home on their phones and not work. That's Doink from Highland Park. Do you think that's his real name, or is that a nickname, do you think? Doink.
Like Ragoose? I bet I'm going to go back to back. It's his real name. I am always stunned. This shows you how conditioned I am to the new world. When there is a snowstorm like today or yesterday, I'm always stunned when I see more than like 4 people in here. Like, I actually probably give them more credit than they deserve.
Yeah.
You know, yesterday.
But that could be in the summer.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
But people are bailing out, at 1:30, 2 o'clock yesterday. So I'm always a little surprised when I see more than a half a dozen people in the office on a snow day like this.
763 guy, MnDOT is mighty good. I won't throw the hardworking folks in my municipality under the bus, but as a group, they're not perfect. I generally think we do a very nice job clearing major roads and highways. That said, timing definitely matters. It took nearly 2.5 hours to get from Wayzata to Woodbury yesterday.
Oh,
That's from 214 guy. That's a Dallas area code, is it not? 214? I think I had that area code at one point. We double check 214.
it is Dallas.
That's what I thought. I think we are softer now than the days when most of us drove rear-wheel drive cars. It's a good callback. Love the Grum Gal higher on my percentage. Have you been to a grocery? I'm old. A day before a predicted 2 to 4 inch snowfall. It's unreal. We have become snowflakes.
Wow.
Austin in Apple Valley. As someone who grew up in the Chicago area, we do a pretty good job. Main roads and highways are solid once plow workers get in mid-season form. Maybe they do. Maybe it takes them time to get in mid-season form.
They
too.
need a preseason.
Only takes 1 or 2 snowfalls to get them back in the groove. Dan, I'm a 20-plus year mailman. If we can get around in 36-year-old rear-wheel drive trucks with bald tires, I really don't think anyone has anything to complain about. A lot of this is just bad driving. Well, yeah, we have talked about that before. My ongoing unofficial, non-analytic survey of the number of people who can't seem to remember that they have their bright lights on continues. I've now become almost obsessed with it because since I made a bigger issue of it on the radio, I'm paying even closer attention to it. And I would say on average now, it's 1 out of every 5 drivers I come across at night. And I don't get, and because a couple of people would say, well, no, it's just those new lights.
You're not buying
look
that?
like brights. And I'm saying, no, these are particular cars where it's the twin lights, and both of them are only supposed to come on. Not talking about the ones underneath. They have the twin lights. Only one of them is supposed to come on for brightness, shall we say. So I'm still confounded why this has become so difficult for people. Maybe we close things down sooner because of snow now that it's easy to communicate via text and social media. Old days, you just kept things open because you really couldn't tell anybody what was going on in an effective manner. In an effective manner. There's probably some truth to that.
Imagine
some of it.
If we had texting when John Wooden was waiting to hear from the University of Minnesota.
Yeah.
Even though I know Minnesota, that never happened. You don't need to email us.
Not only do we puff our chests out about snow removal, but we then play in it once we've moved it out of our way.
That's true.
MnDOT does a great job of clearing and salting freeways, writes Chris. Bad driving in cars with improper tires cause the issues. St. Paul is worse at plowing roads than Sao Paulo, Brazil would be. That's from Jesse Ventura. No, not really, but could be. Dan, I can't tell if we're better or worse at snow removal because I live in St. Paul and the roads suck and have sucked for almost all the 20 years I've lived here. That's Andy in St. Paul. I am a UPS driver. I can say that last night / today has left a lot to be desired when it comes to snow removal in Minneapolis. They had not even touched 94 East / 35W North last night when I was driving back into the facility at 9 p.m. Unacceptable. That was going to be sort of the way I went with it. I felt for the first time in a while that the last, 24 hours have not seemed up to our standard. And I think officially we got 5 inches at the airport. Maybe it was 4. I think Channy got 4 and maybe airport got 5, or maybe it was vice versa. That's a healthy snowfall. And there are a lot of icy patches, you can tell, because of the temperature and so forth. But I haven't sensed where maybe we need a couple more tsunamis. I haven't sensed that we're at the top of our game. I just don't want us to rest on our laurels and to think, well, yeah, of course we do. We have all this experience doing it. That doesn't mean that you're necessarily doing the job great. Normally good, but side streets not plowed. BMW sedan not made for this, but all-wheel drive, let her rip. We're probably good at snow removal, but I think everyone is second to Buffalo.
Probably has to be.
Well, it has to be, but are they? We don't know. I mean, we assume it, but maybe they're not great at it. I just drove down from Golden Valley to Owatonna today and back early this morning. Roads were pretty pristine, even though the drivers may make you think they're not. LOL. So I'd say our plow service is still pretty dang good.
I defend people, by the way, especially in the first couple snowstorms, that drive exceedingly defensively. I know it makes it more dangerous sometimes if you're driving too slow or you're too worried.
Well, the extremes, right? They go too slow or too fast out of forgetfulness.
But people got to get their bearings a little bit in snow.
I don't deny that. This is a callback to the Blanda discussion. Dan, back in the day, I had a Chicago relative who lived in George Blanda's neighborhood. Sounds like he would get into no-holds-barred snowball fights with all the neighborhood kids.
I love it.
Baseballs, Bahamas, Blanda. That's from Clayton. Well, it's good, a cross-section of text. We'll keep that going maybe later in the show. We will name the Snownami later in the program as well. Let's come back and talk about a guy who can't possibly relate to the conditions that the rest of us are dealing with.
I've already heard from him. He's very concerned about the snow conditions here. And no shock, he has a George Blanda story.
Oh, good. That doesn't shock me at all. And we'll also see what he thinks about the Zuki hit. Was it cheap? Was it evil? Or was it just a good, hard hit that we were on the wrong side of? That and much more with Luigi next.
Well, she sneaks around the world from here to Carolina. She's a sticky-fingered filcher from Berlin down to Belize. She'll take you for a ride on a slow boat to China. Tell me, where in the world is
Nanne?
Brought to you by Kemp's, and you sure as hell know he's not here, not enduring what each and every one of us is enduring on a daily basis. Louis joins us via the Connecticut Water Systems Hotline. Are you still in Florida or some other tropical spot?
Well, I came back to Florida last night from Boston.
Okay.
I was just in Boston for the day, but I'll tell you one thing. The West Palm Beach people and North Palm Beach people do a great job of cleaning the roads. There's no snow out there. You never see it there.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's just like they make it disappear, is what you're saying. They do such a good job.
I'll tell you what happened to me last year. You're not going to believe this. So I come back to Minneapolis late May and bring my car in to AJ's. I got to give AJ's a plug. They do such a great job because I store my tires there, put them on in November, and then take them off in May. So I came back and I take my car in first one, 8 o'clock in the morning, give him my keys. He puts it up in the hoist. And I just sit down, reach over to grab a book to read it, and all of a sudden he comes back in and gives me my keys. What happened? He says, you forgot to put your snow tires on.
That's it, see? Yeah. So, I wonder why. Yeah.
I wonder why, because
you're not in the mindset. Right. Yeah, that's it. That might have a lot to do with it. Are you familiar, Louis, with the music group Pearl Jam?
Yeah.
Okay, you're familiar with them? I bring it up because somebody had texted out of nowhere that apparently the band Pearl Jam was sponsoring. They got their name on a Zamboni. In Duluth, right?
Yeah, right.
Did you hear about this story?
Yeah, I did. That's pretty neat. They they got nice little publicity out of it.
They did.
I think that, I think it's especially one of the guys there in the group is a hockey fan, and so he probably pushed it. That was a great thing. Now we'll have to see if we get more music groups to do that.
Now, a texter reminded me about this because we had not mentioned it on air, and he also wanted to know if you had any Zamboni name stories, or maybe even some Zamboni stories that have nothing to do with names. Did you ever come close to being run over by a Zamboni on the ice? I
am the first broadcaster ever to do an interview on the Zamboni.
I love it. Should have known.
In 1965.
65.
Well, when they came out with the wireless mic.
Right.
And I'm always, and I was doing a state tournament, of course, and I'm always looking for something to do differently. And I asked my producer, I said, will this mic work if I go out to Zamboni? He says, yeah. So there I am. If probably some film of it, riding around the Zamboni, sitting with the Zamboni driver.
That's pretty good.
Interviewing him.
That's outstanding. We're talking about because the Colts have signed a 44-year-old quarterback. That reminded me of George Blanda, who I thought maybe was even older. And Guardsy said when he looked it up, he was on the Raiders until he was 48. And then he tells me that you got your own George Blanda story. What's that?
Well, I went to Chicago. Sam McKeon invited me down to this golf club that he belonged to in Chicago, and I go in and sitting down, we're having lunch first, and he introduced me to this guy, George Blanda. He's Louis George is still playing football, and I think he was about 46 at that time.
Sure.
And I said, "You're still playing football?" I said, "You and Gordie Howe should get together and open a restaurant." They're both in their 40s.
That's
still
true.
playing.
That's true.
But but he was Stan said he was a fantastic golfer as well. He really was a good golfer.
He was a place kicker too. He was
And I said to him, "What do you do?" He says, "Well, most of the time I just go out there and just kick the ball."
That's pretty good. That's outstanding. Questions for Louis? Hit the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line, as many of you already have. We're going to get to some of those texts before we wrap things up with Luigi. So give me your view of the Zuccarello hit. It was a big topic of conversation. It was viewed by the Jackals, the media Jackals, as very much an inspiration for the team. That was against the Kraken, I believe, as they finally won. They finished up with a victory on that road trip. So what do you think? Was the hit evil? Was it cheap? Was it just a good hard hit that we're on the wrong side of? What did you make of it?
It was just a good hard hit. And what's happened today? Well, first of all, Zuccarello's not a tall guy anyway. Right. Although Vince Dunn that hit him's not that much taller, but he got him with his shoulder in the head, and unfortunately for Zuccarello, he could have a concussion. I don't know what the situation is, but it's the hockey in this day and age that drives me nuts. That's just a good hard hit. You can't do that anymore. Yeah. That's what the game's all about. And even though I like the Wild to stand up for one another,
sure.
To me, you don't have to stand up for that. The guy's got his head down. He gets hit. Yeah. That's the name of the game. That's what hockey's all about. So I was more upset that the Wild got a penalty and a reaction.
Yes.
And this, I don't know where they get this. Oh, this is a turning point in the game or stuff like that. They all do it. It's the same thing. It just, if it was a dirty hit, I can understand.
Sure.
But a clean hit, that's what the game's all about. And we're seeing far too much of this, and I don't know if they're ever going to be able to take it out of the game.
Well, we've talked. But this is not new. You've been talking about this on this show for years. Same thing. Like, what? Wait a minute. If we got to retaliate. We got to take the number, and we got to make sure we get them later. And on hits that you say are just, man, we're on the wrong side of a good hit, man. It happens, and you don't have to lose your mind over it. You just go and try to play harder or play better or whatever it takes. But to pretend that there's anything scandalous about it, I don't know. I just think maybe it's the internet age. Stuff gets slowed down. It gets replayed a bunch of times, and when your guy is the guy who takes the hit, I think there's a tendency to want to say we got wronged.
Yeah, and that's what it is. And it's unfortunate because no matter what you say, one of the great parts of hockey, one of the great attractions in hockey, is the fact that you have really good contact. You see a number of good hits. You see heavy hits. You see guys taking in the boards hard. That's why football's so popular too. Football's a big contact sport, and the contact in those sports are one of the things that brings the viewers to the game, and it's something that I never want to see taken out of the game. When we used to play the World Championships in Europe, and you got the bigger ice surface, like 200 by 100 instead of 200 by 85, and that made up a third more ice, you could hardly find somebody to hit. The rinks are so big. And that's, to me, was one of the things that made it so unattractive to watch two European teams play in the big ice.
Yes, 100% true.
And I don't want to see those heavy hits taken out of the game, because it's the player's responsibility to keep your head up, know what's going on, and just you have to be prepared to get hit. And one of the biggest things we've ever said in hockey, and they said in every locker room that's ever been there, take a hit to make a play.
Yep.
And so you you know you're going to get hit in this game, and if you want to make a good play, sometimes you got to take a hit. You got to suck the guy in and take a hit, and the other guy's open. You give him the puck, and that's it.
Yeah,
and I hate to see anything take it out of the game.
I'm with you. I think a lot of this is there's less of an ability now to just sort of tip your hat and said, okay, they got us that time. Now we'll remember to the extent that we'll try to at some point later do the same thing if we have the opportunity. But I think that the emotion, I don't know, it just seems like it feels different in a way where if I salute that, hey, you know what, good hit, man. We'll play the next round and we'll see where it goes. But we're on the wrong side of the hit. Now let me get your reaction to what one of the texters says here. The Zuccarello hit was legal, but definitely the type you take the number and pay him back. Dunn took a rink-wide run and could have hit him effectively without launching him. What do you think of that?
I didn't think it was a launch. Mm-hmm. You come across the ice, it's no launch. I like the hit, and I love Zuccarello. He's one of my favorite players.
Yes.
But I like seeing that body checking. I mean, I do not. I got to disagree with that. I like to see these hits in the game. I don't like to see him get hit in the head. And just that's the unfortunate part about it. Different sizes, and or if the guy bends over and tries to sneak by the check, there are different reasons why they get hit in the head, and you don't like to see that. But I like the fact that guys eliminate guys off the puck with a body check. Hey, by the way, before I go any farther, I got to tell you, because I'm getting a lot of texts, that Jeff Merrick's got a great podcast. He's one of the great hockey guys out of Toronto.
Okay.
And on his podcast, apparently, I don't know, must have been yesterday, or because now I'm starting to get it today. He talks about the draft in Minnesota, mm-hmm. and Harold Ballard, who was the owner and a crusty old guy that owned the Toronto Maple Leafs, was really upset with me. He said, hey, Kellen, he's really pissed off at me because the Toronto Maple Leafs were given a table way at the end. And when they panned the audience, when they opened it on Hockey Night, or CBC in Canada, the draft, all the Leaf scouts and everybody had their legs on the table, on the draft table. And so after the draft was over, next day, goes home, and one of the reporters asked one of the scouts, why did you guys all have your legs on the table? He says, Harold Ballard's really upset with Nanne because he gave the table right at the back, the farthest away from the bathroom, and he couldn't go to the bathroom, so he had everybody put their legs on the table, and he whizzed underneath the table.
Oh my God. So how far back would this go?
Well, but when we had the draft here, it was 1979.
Okay, 79.
And I did,
That's
the NHL puts the tables. I didn't put the table out. He thought I was upset with him, and I gave him a table at the back so it'd be far from the bathroom.
Oh, that's too good. That's
But
classic.
I will tell you this, and this did not surprise me, because when I gave the induction speech for Gumworthy when he was going in the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto, it was in the Royal York. There was 1,000 people there, and Ballard is sitting to my right, Gump is sitting to my left, and it goes on and on. We had about 4 inductions going, and we used to have the speeches before, etc. And he just whizzed right under the table while I'm sitting there on the dais.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
What the?
I'm sitting right there, and I never told anybody at that time. And I certainly wasn't going to make a story of it because he was still living. Now that he's dead.
What the hell is that about?
I don't know. And that's why I love the story that they used to tell. He'd never pay anybody any money. He was really bad. Ronnie Ellis went in once to negotiate a contract, and Ronnie was very upset. And he's getting ready to storm out, and Ballard says, I guess you'd like to piss in my grave. Ronnie Ellis says, no, the line would be too long.
Oh, man. Oh, that's pretty amazing. Well, see, you're offering up a reason why podcasts are good. There's probably too many of them, but that's the kind of story that's probably less likely to come up on anything but a podcast, right? Where you can deep dive into pretty much anything at any point. So so I'm sure you're getting, like you said, plenty of texts from people who've listened to it, correct?
Yeah, I know, because I called Merrick today and I said, Jeff, I said, you should realize that the NHL sets the table. I didn't set the table.
That's so good. Dry Heat guy has a question for you. Can you ask Louie whether the NHL is starting to regret moving the Coyotes to Utah? I'm hearing reports that attendance is bad. Also, what are you hearing about expansion rumors? Houston, fourth largest market. Will Milwaukee ever get an NHL team, or is it too close to Chicago? That's Dry Heat guy.
Well, first of all, Milwaukee won't get a team with Chicago there. But, no, the NHL is very happy with Utah. And, by the way, they still have that in their pocket, that franchise for Phoenix. If they get a rink, which they're talking, there's talks now that people are looking to try and build a rink in Phoenix. And Houston is a good city that they'd also look at. Also Kansas City, by the way, it would be $2 billion now. They've talked about, because I sat with. I've heard it's very strong fact that it would be $2 billion for a franchise now.
$2 billion?
$2 billion.
That's pretty stunning, is it not?
Yes, it is. I mean, are you kidding me? It's unbelievable.
$2 billion.
It's absolutely unbelievable.
It's astonishing. Got some breaking college football news, Luigi, to pass along to you and the audience. Media reports indicating that the University of Michigan has fired their head football coach. What's his name?
Sharon Moore.
Sharon Moore. Dismissed by the University of Michigan. So there you have it. Was that expected?
No, but the second sentence is the university found, quote, credible evidence that he engaged in an inappropriate relationship with another staff member.
Ooh, okay. So that wraps. So it's related more to that, apparently, than maybe, well, probably didn't help that.
Than 17-8 over 2 years?
Yeah. 17-8 is a good record most places. 17-8 is not so good necessarily at the University of Michigan.
Look at Glenn Mason's reaction 10 minutes from now.
Oh, that's right. We got a lot to discuss with Mace. The general condition of the club, they had the great stretch, seemed to turn everything around, and they had a couple of bad games in a row. Then they win the last game on the trip. Do you panicky about that, or do you say you're going to have some ebb and flow? What would you say you've seen most recently from your favorite hockey team?
Well, I didn't like the two games that they lost. They had played so well in Edmonton, and then come back and lose the two like that. And I was worried about those games, because when you go back and look at it, the Wild just seems to get beaten in Calgary more than they should. I think Calgary's got to have one of the better home records against them than other teams. I was surprised they lost. Vancouver was really floundering, and they just couldn't score in the Vancouver game. It was, and then Wallstead had an unusual night for him, because he'd been playing so well in that last goal that he gave up the puck behind the net after he had been doing so well handling the puck all year long. It just a little mistake, but that was the fourth goal that killed him. But what concerns me the most is the injuries. They just can't seem to stop getting people injured. Heinz got them playing really well, playing as a team, playing really consistently and hard all the way through. But you can't keep getting 4 or 5 guys out of a lineup and expect to be the same team. It just, anybody could say, next man up, just like they do in football. Next man up. Yeah, the next man's up, but he's just not as good. It's a big difference.
Yeah, it's very rare that he's as good. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
We talked about this briefly yesterday, but I wanted to get you in on it. And I don't know how much you know about it. You got connections everywhere. But these horror stories are continuing out of the Winter Olympics in Italy, that they're way behind on the rink, and it's going to be another, almost like it was the last time it was in Italy, that it's going to be right to the wire on whether the rink is going to be as it is. I guess it's going to be different dimensions than it was really supposed to be. So how much concern is there about this, and what do you hear about it for Olympic hockey?
I had lunch with Bill Daly back, I want to see 2 months ago in New York, and he had mentioned the fact that they were concerned they better get their building done in time. But at that time, there was no knowledge or anything said about the size of the rink. Now, the size of the rink is going to be, I think, 196.3 feet instead of 200. We're talking about the length.
Right. Yep.
That's a minor concern. People can make a big fuss about it. when we played rinks before, Boston, Chicago, Buffalo, those are all small rinks, you know. So they were different sizes. Now all the rinks are standard. The NHL are all 200 by 85. So what they'll do, it won't be a problem, is they'll just move both blue lines closer to the center. They'll do it equally and just have the more the areas in the defensive zones will still be the same, but the neutral zone will be a little smaller, which really doesn't matter. They don't have a red line anymore for passing, it's just for icing, so that's not going to be a big deal. That's not the deal. The deal is that they got to get the rink ready. But here's the kicker. If the rink's not ready, see that some of the seats aren't ready or some of the other stuff, but the teams could still play. You think they're not going to play with that kind of money at stake? They'll play the game if nobody's there, I think. But more than that, the Players Association, I don't think, would ever want them not to play. Connor McDavid, all his life, all he's wanted to do is play in the Olympics. I can't see even Marty Walsh, executive director of the Players Association, going and say, we're not going to play, that's not right. Because I think the players would be very upset about it.
Another text coming in here late. Rossi's week-to-week absence since mid-November has left a hole in the middle. Could a trade for a gritty depth center like Vancouver's Kiefer Sherwood provide the Wild with the bottom six spark that they might need before the holiday break?
Well, they've been trying to get Kiefer Sherwood for a while here, but the price has been going up, and now maybe it'll go back down because he hasn't scored as well this year as he did last year, and he is a fourth liner by trade originally, and he just happened to blossom into a good scorer. But he'd be a good player for the Wild. I'd like to see him on the Wild because he's physical and he's proven he can score. Can he do it again? We'll have to see. But here's the deal: if you get a guy like him, what are you going to give up for him? Right now, the Canucks are asking too much for him, especially when they include a first-round pick and a player. So I don't see that the Wild are going to pay the kind of price they want. They're going to just try to work their way through this. You know, I wouldn't say you're going to trade a Hartman for Sherwood because essentially they're the same-time players, except that I think Hartman's had a much better track record over long term of scoring goals than Sherwood did. So I don't see that happening unless the price goes down from the Canucks. You know what they want, and somebody will get more healthy where they have a player to trade.
Do you remember who the Gopher football coach was before Tim Brewster?
Hey, what's that guy's name? He's the guy, he's got a dog pen or something, hasn't he, in Fargo?
Apparently he does. He's got a lot of things going these days. He's say hi to your old buddy, Lou Nanne, Glenn.
Hey, Louie, I heard.
I miss you.
I miss you
too. Be here.
But I got to correct you on one thing.
Yeah,
more than one thing. When you said before, you know, the problem with the next man up, the next guy's not as good, with the exception of this show, because I'm up next, and I'm a lot better than you.
Nice in your
right out of the gate.
I wish you would think that well when you were coaching our football team in Minnesota.
You know what?
You think he'd still be coaching? Yeah.
Yeah, he'd still be there, and he'd be making more money.
Oh, man. Louie, can you believe the money these guys are making now?
No, I can't.
Huh? I mean, you know, they just fired the guy at Kentucky, and he's going to get paid, I think, $39 or $37.4 million. They figured it out. That's a $500,000 bonus for every game that he won during his tenure there.
Can't make that up. That's remarkable.
These guys have lost their mind, Louie.
Do you think, Mace, you can speak to this. Do you think, Mace, we were talking earlier about whether people over the last 40 years in the metro area have gotten a little softer? I mean, would you not agree that Louis is the very epitome of someone, you know, the guy from the Sioux who's gone soft because he's never here anymore. He's in Florida. Meanwhile, you got a place in Florida, yet you're still here.
But I'm here. You know, I embrace the cold.
You see? Yes.
I really do.
I live in Florida. You know, I told them when they recruited me here, the one question I asked, that was the most important question I asked, how much snow you have here in the winter? And he said, not much. I said, how much is not much? They said 3 inches. I signed the next day. I went home. My dad said, are we going to talk about this? I said, no, they got 3 inches of snow. I'm going there.
Now, wait a minute, Louis. I remember you telling me how you hated the heat. When you got recruited from the Sioux and you came down here, it was like during the summer, you had to go back to the hotel and get in the bathtub putting ice cubes in there. Didn't you tell me that?
That's where I slept at night because they had no air conditioning in the hotel at the Nicolet. It was 95 degrees, so I slept in the tub. But I didn't say I'm going to love the heat here. That's why I go back to the Midwest in the summer, because it gets too hot. I go to Boston Lake where it's on the water. I got to get out of the heat here,
too. It's good to
too.
be Louis, man.
Yeah, I know it.
Really
it's
is good to be Louis.
Just the way it is.
All right, we're going to let you go because Mace has got a lot on his plate that we have to discuss, as you know. And if we intrude too far into his time slot, he pouts. I mean, he's like a wide receiver who, if he doesn't get the ball, he's just going to start feeling sorry for himself. Well, he doesn't have anything else to do. That's true, too.
Keep him busy.
Yeah, you're right.
That's exactly.
Keep me out of trouble. I don't want to be like Sharon Moore.
No, that doesn't sound good. Luigi, thank you. Great stuff as always. Welcome. And we'll chat next week. Thanks, Louis.
Thank you.
That's Lou Nanne joining us. Mace is in our faces already. He's in studio. Let's get a top of the hour break. Horrific. Well, I shouldn't use that term. I'll go devastating. Indiana University injury news, which I want to discuss with Mace, and even maybe get some insight from him regarding this kind of injury, if it ever happened to one of his teams that he coached.
Celebration?
And, we'll get into a lot of other stuff as well. If you have questions for Mace, Bradshaw and Bryant, KFAN text line. That number is 64686.